So, last night it occurs to Dale that he's going to be in Mill City today. And he says, hey, you're up. Okay. About an hour later, Melissa says, hey, do you have anyone to talk tomorrow? He says, yeah, Tom. Well, she has. Her and I had this conversation about the week that we had. And Dale says, no, that's settled. You both can talk. I'm like, you seem to be sitting down now.
You can sit. You can stand, sit.
There you go. I need a guitar. So I guess I'll start. At the last men's meeting, for those of you that don't know, I kind of had a meltdown. There was an incident on our table, it wouldn't calm down, and well, I lost my mind. So in doing that, I made an ass out of myself. So I'm apologizing to those of you that were there. And, the thing is, we're going to talk about lessons learned. The minute that I reacted the way I did, it doesn't matter what set it off. It's immaterial. Because all the focus was on me. Right? And so I had this meltdown. And it really sucked because we were having a great Bible study. Milton's digging in his phone looking for information, and Alan and I are throwing things out there, and it was going great. It was a good time. So the incident occurred, and then my reaction was poor. And so within that, I embarrassed myself, embarrassed my wife. It's not the way I should have reacted. So, at the end of the night, it had been a long day, and the incident just made it a longer day. I couldn't just get in my truck and drive away because my wife had the keys. Middle of the road. And I had to lock up the building because I had the keys to the building. So, and the weird thing is, as I'm sitting in my truck and I'm trying to calm down, the adrenaline leaves, and this slow, warm, painful thing crept in on me, right? I'm like, I'm way too old for this. It took a toll. So I had that conversation going on in my head. And finally, everything leaves, everybody leaves, we lock up. I start my truck, put my truck in gear, and my phone lights up. And it's an individual asking that someone come pray for her apartment. For her in her apartment because she's having her own time. So I don't say anything. I just hand my phone to Karen. And she's like, well, what do you think? I said, I think if I don't go do this, I'm going to be in trouble. Right? This is my opportunity to more or less redeem myself. Right? Dale has given me a bottle of anointment oil, and I know Karen was tired, rough day, rough night. I said, I got to go do this thing. I got to go, if nothing else, say a prayer for this person, right? So we go over there, and I'm driving over there, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm saying a prayer is one thing, right? I don't know how to bless a house or I don't know what I'm doing. Qualifications for this or test or. So we get over there and she's in a bad way, she's nervous. She's got a lot of energy that she's not vibing with, and so I told her, I said, well, I don't know how qualified I am. I said, I'm a believer in Christ and I do have some anointing oil, so we'll have a party with that, right? So I said a prayer, and the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost over the doorway on both sides, and her bedroom on both sides, the bathroom. She's like, well, throw in the hall closet. So we threw in the hall closet, right? So said a couple more prayers, and I talked to her for about 15 minutes, and I walked down the stairs, and it occurred to me that I didn't even take my Bible. Like, isn't that, like, weapon number one? You know? So I get down to the truck, and Karen goes, well, and I'm like, oh, I think we're good. Then her phone rings, and it's Alan. He's broke down on the I-5 overpass, right at the Dempsey exit right there, South Salem. Okay, we'll go there and see what we can do. Pulling behind Alan, he gets out of his car, he's holding his phone. He says, hey, guess who I just got a text message from? I'm like, I don't know, Gloria? He says, no, Dale. Oh boy, right? 3,000 miles away, and I'm still like, okay. So, right, I felt bad enough. Now he's being bothered. I'm sure that text was sent before anybody left the parking lot. So, we're helping Alan, and it turned into a little bit of an inside-out reunion because Steve Carlton pulled up. He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, you know, we're hanging out under a bridge. This is what we do. Oh, and by the way, Steve Wilkes is on his way, and you know, so I proceeded to tell him about my evening, and in fact, that Dale's already got a phone call, you know, and my mentor's standing there going, I'm like, well, what'd you say to him? Nobody's messaging me. Alan was like, well, and I'm like, well, okay, that well is not probably, you know. So it's funny because Friday and Saturday of last week, I was with Matt and Thomas and Jared, and we attended a seminary over at Central? Seminar. No, yeah? Salem Alliance. And so it's called Peacekeepers. And I'm thinking this is about de-escalation or, you know, I knew God would be in there somewhere, but I wasn't sure, right? And so it's all about resolving conflict with Christ, right? Okay, so yeah, this is it. And one thing I want to say is things come full circle for me with God. I don't know if it happens to everybody,
Yes.
but when they come full circle, it's like, hello, you know. So I don't know. I mean, it's like Matt had a premonition that I needed to be at this thing because of my other thing, and, you know. So as I'm talking to one of the ladies who is a coach, they posed the question, do you have a recent conflict that you know, is fresh in your mind or something you can think about? Well, I said, well, I got a doozy, you know. So through this 2-day class, her and I work together, and I'm using this incident as my study. We're role playing, and things are happening, and so right now I'm like 3/4 of the circle, right? And I did learn a lot. I learned some tools. Now I just have to figure out when 2 people are arguing, to go, hey, excuse me, what would God do, right? In the middle of all that anger and that energy, and right, so, but it can be done. And so, you know, resolving conflict by not slamming your hands on tables and throwing yourself off doors, and you know, it's all that. But so part of that class was accepting responsibility, right? And the lady and I were talking, I can't remember, Clover was her name. And she said that a big part of it is accepting responsibility, but for everyone who was involved, make them aware. And I said, well, in order for me to make that happen, I have to get in front of my body and pretty much apologize to all of them because that's who was there, right? So that's what I'm doing here today. That's why I apologize. And so with Dale coming back from Hawaii, I'm kind of waiting, you know. But we know Dale. He's not a chastiser, you know. I already I already learned, I knew the minute that I acted the way that I did, that I already felt the embarrassment and the shame and I knew there would be consequences. And the crazy thing is, when I drew this bit, I went that way. And the only thing back there is an emergency exit door or a kitchen. It was locked. So thank God the door opened back there, right? I'm outside and that's all caged in. Yeah. So now I have to walk back through all my peers, right? All my brothers and sisters. I got to walk back through here and act all huffy-puffy instead of embarrassed and ashamed and like a dumbass. So I don't give anybody eyesight. I just walk like a scolded child, man. I walk out that door and I get in my truck, and that's when I realize I don't have the keys. And I'm like, so a moment of reflection, sitting there. So, the adrenaline's pumping, and I'm like, man, that was, so many other ways to deal with this. And the conversations you have with yourself and God, right? And there's consequences, right? Not only consequences with the people that were involved, but my body hurt from the adrenaline, I'm like, it wasn't worth it. It hurt 10 times worse, So when Dale says, well, you're up, I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And Melissa and I were talking, and she learned a lesson by not throwing it.
I think so, yeah. So as you're talking, I'm thinking about our personalities and your fight and I'm flight. So the previous week, the week that you had your struggle, I was off with Caitlin, my daughter, our daughter, and we were having this wonderful little getaway over at the beach. And I'm just in a really nice spot and feeling good about everything and feeling good about working for the Lord and everything that's going on. And then I come back and I'm all just in this peaceful mode. And all of a sudden, it's like, I hear all these things that have been going on and events and different stuff that I'm, working with and a part of. And by the end of hearing what was happening and what had happened, and I hadn't heard about until you apologized on Facebook, I had no idea. So I was really over in a remote area at the time, so I didn't know. I was clueless. But I hear I get caught up on everything, and instead of fight, I'm flight. I get in my car and I was like, God, you got the wrong girl. I am not signed up to do this work because I know what my gifts are that you've given me, and conflict resolution is not one of them. I don't like to have to address, if there's two people having difficulty learning how to work together, instead of getting in there and saying, hey, let's problem solve this together, I'm just like, man, I'm out of here. And so on the way home from being in Safe Sleep, I was having it out with God, and I was whining and complaining, and could be classified as bitching, to be honest. And just coming up with all these things like, hey, I like the beach better.
Who doesn't?
And I get home, and man, and then part of me, there was this kind of self-righteous indignation that started coming up, to be honest. And I started thinking about the prodigal son, and I was really relating to the elder son, and feeling like why can't people get along? And why, if we just all be like Melissa, then it'd be okay, we'd all get along.
Absolutely.
So I had that going through my head, and I'm getting ramped up to maybe go to fight. And I got this whole idea of, at that point I was thinking, I'm gonna give the sermon, and man, I'm gonna just rip one. That was honestly what was going through my head. And so then I opened my devotional. And I gotta take my jacket off because I'm hot. Let's put this down. They have to be on equal ground. Okay. So I opened my devotional, and it was for the date that I was having my little wine fest. And here it is: give up the illusion that you deserve a problem-free life. And I thought, okay, God's schooling me right now. I'm getting in his class. So he said, it goes on, part of you is still hungering for the resolution of all difficulties. This is a false hope. As I told my disciples, in the world you will have trouble. I don't want to hear this, God. I don't want trouble. Link your hope not to problem solving in this life, but to the promise of an eternity of problem-free life in the heaven and new earth. Instead of seeking perfection in this fallen world, pour your energy into seeking me, the perfect one. So I'm starting to de-escalate in my head at this point and going, okay, I'm hearing you, Lord. And it continues, it is possible to enjoy me and glorify me in the midst of adverse circumstances. And I'm like, really? Really? I'm not feeling it, God. Because at that point, what I felt like, and I don't know, Tom, if you felt this, but these images came to my head and actually an episode from MASH came to my head. And I don't know if anybody has watched MASH. I'm sure a lot of you have, but there was one where there's this young girl from Vietnam, and she's Korea, and she's walking through this field that has all these mines in it, and they're trying to tell her where to go to walk safely. And I have felt multiple times this week like I was in a minefield, and if I said the wrong thing, or did the wrong thing, or needed to do something but didn't do it, I was going to let off a mine. And it might blow me up, it might blow up the other person, it might blow up a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm just frozen, and I'm like, how do I get through this crazy field with all these mines that it feels like the enemy has set? And I realized in some of my week, I actually set some off because I was trying to maneuver through on my own. And then it's like, okay, Lord, you got the path. I've got to stay connected to you. And you can help me walk through this path. You can help me get through all those mines. But on my own, I can set them off pretty easily. And some of it is the flight, and some of it is the fight. The last sentence, it says here, I am much less, and this is the Lord, it's written as he's talking to you. I am much less interested in right circumstances than in right responses to whatever comes your way. Amen. And it's like, oh, wow, right responses. And I've been thinking about that all week, and the other thing that keeps going through my head is that parable, the Good Samaritan. And thinking about the father, thinking about all the characters in it. The father, the prodigal son, the elder son, and the whole household, really. And I think all of us, I think the Lord told parables for us to relate. Through our life, we can relate to different characters in a story. And I was thinking, who am I this week in that story? And I could relate actually a lot to the elder son, but I also related to the prodigal. And then I was thinking about that, and I kept, you don't know, I read this every single day this week, that one, for the one day. And I just kept reading it. And then I kept going back to the right responses to whatever comes your way. And I thought, you know, the character I want to be like in that story is the father. And what is his responses? How does he respond? And the three things that come to my head is grief, forgiveness, and generosity. And I think you and I, when you were talking about how your body hurt,
Yeah.
my body hurt like hell 2 days this week. And it was after the 2 days following my event of my temper tantrum, or whatever you want to say it was, hurt really bad. But I think part of that is the grief of feeling the distance between the Father and me. And not even that I'm in trouble, it's that our situation of here on earth and the sin that we're
Those were the landmines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was to pick a movie during my incident, I think it would come right out of Good Morning Vietnam or Psycho, I'm not sure which. You know, to have pause and reflect, you know, when you read that, right, it's not going to be easy. And conflict, again, full circle thing, right? She mentioned self-righteous indignation. I asked Alan while we're under that bridge, I'm like, hey man, does my incident fall under self-righteous indignation? Looking for an excuse or a way out, right? I mean, throw me a bone, anything, you know? Hey, no. Right? Can't ride that one. So now I'm back to, you know, they talk about spiritual warfare, right? I'm new to that experience, but I think this is all part of it, right? Satan unlocked the door, I kicked it open. Not the place to be kicking doors open, but here it is, right? So, it's amazing how once our Bible study got away from God, chaos ensued, right? And it was instantaneous, right? One word led to a whole bunch of other words. None of us could wrangle it back in, right? So God let it play out the way he did, right? Some people say I reacted the way maybe it was appropriate, right? On some level or a certain level. At the time I did it, I felt okay about it, until I was going that way and I saw all the faces at the other table, right? And we just blew their Bible study up too. You know what I mean? So, my issues were lack of respect for one another, lack of respect for all the other people that were surrounding us, and most importantly, the two people that did it are grown men, right? We don't need to act that way. Then here I go, and I act like a 13-year-old child who, you know, wants pancakes for dinner. I don't even know. And doing that took the focus not only on God, but the conflict that started to be my reaction, right? So there's no healing. There's no, by that time, we weren't working through anything, right? They were working their way out the door and I'm working through an adrenaline rush. And I mean, that was, you know, and I think everybody involved was having a conversation with God at that point in time. I know I certainly was. You know, the one guarantee we have in eternity is a new body. Man, I can't wait. You know, right? I mean, yeah, nothing good came of that. It did.
And yet here we sit today. And this is a good thing. This is a really good thing because we've come, like you say, full circle with
right,
God.
right.
And the
Thanks, Dale.
yes. And the other amazing thing is the constant, the Father in the story of the prodigal son, who is God, who is Jesus. Whether you be taking your inheritance and going out the door, or whether you're back in the field thinking you're doing God's work and laboring hard and busting your butt, and then you come up and you're like, God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And all along, his reaction is the same to both. He's like, come stand beside me, I want to love you. I want you to celebrate with me as we welcome home a son. His reaction and his love and compassion is the same for both sons. And he stands here today with us, Tom. He accepts us in our faults, in our faux pas, in our fight and flight. And all he does is open those big arms, and he puts his hands on our shoulders, and he said, keep working, and love me, and love them, and I forgive you. And it's those three things: the grief, the forgiveness, and the generosity. And he had to have had grief when his son left. And then he had forgiveness and generosity. And that's what he wants us to do with this whole, whenever there's conflict, whenever there's hardships between us. I think if we learn, not just you and I, but all of us, to have those three responses, we're going to be standing a lot closer to the Father.
Amen. I think part of it too is right, they talk about the fruits of the Lord, and I think about that all the time. That was actually the first verse I learned in the Bible, right? Galatians 5 verse 22 is the fruits of the labor. I can't name them all, but the ones that stick out are patience, kindness, forgiveness, right? Gentleness, self-righteous. It's about 50%. Anyway, so the big ones there are patience. I completely let my patience go, right? We were having a joyful time, not anymore, so that got blown up. Gentleness, it wasn't too gentle. It wasn't too kind, right? But because we have to think about those things, I use driving. I struggle with patience and driving at the same time. I'd rather just drive through somebody than, so what we have to learn and what I took from that class was, and this was anything, is give it to God. Give it to God, right? It's a learning curve. It's a hard, in the heat of that moment, it's a learned behavior, all right? And I'm still a work in progress, so maybe next time I'll be able to step back, take that breath, and say, all right, what we got here? All right? Wait for a lightning bolt to come down, wait for, I don't know, some sort of sign or an indication that that's the way to go about it. Not to take it on yourself, because you took it on yourself. But to give it to God, and that's, you say it and it sounds easy, right? Yeah, give it to God. Reality is, man, you have to think about that, and that's work, and you have to stop and go, okay, God, I'm going to give this to you, right? And to try to remove yourself entirely from that and let Him have it.
It's hard.
It is hard. Well, you're kind of curious, too. Okay, now what are you going to do, right? So you're still involved. You're like, and the thing is, He's probably not going to react to that right at that point in time. Right? He's going to let it ride out, and then He'll deal with the consequences. Right? It was a really interesting week for me, right? This is God's honest truth, man. When I hear Matt say, I had a conversation with God today. When I hear Alan say, I had a conversation with God today. When I hear Dale say, I had a conversation with God today. Man, do I pay attention, right? Because that's impactful, right? My experiences with that it blows my mind. When Dale says, hey, we need to talk, because I talk to God, my anatomy does strange things, right? And my heart jumps, and I'm like, oh man, what'd I do? It's not always bad. It's a learning curve, right? I think when you're devotional, because it's written as God speaking to you, it's direct and kind of, when you read that out loud, you hear his voice. And with me, it's just not going to be that way, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, we give it to God, whatever it is, right? I mean, whatever. I talk about Demetrio all the time. For those of you who know Demetrio, man, and he's like, Lord, let the car unlock.
Yeah.
Lord, let my key go in the ignition. Lord, let the car start. I mean, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, man, he's kind of busy, bro. But Demetrio believes that, I mean, it's just a little thing, but everything he does through God, right? Well, he's cutting an onion, and I'm like, how's that going for you? We're good, I talked to God about it, And so literally, right? An onion. And bless his heart for that, because while he's doing that, he's talking to God the whole day, right? My conversation with God's getting on the freeway, right? Make it safe and swift, Lord, let's go, right? And to see the things that we're seeing just in life with Inside Out, with Safe Sleep, God's doing things in a big way, right? So, whatever we give to him is not a burden. Right? Like I'm talking to Demetri, I'm like, hey, dude, he's busy. I got the memo. And he's busy for the next 3 hours, bro. Just, but he's not. Right? So, yeah.
I think we're ready for the closure. Who's
Closure.
closing? Who's closing?
Well, I'll close.
Who's closing?
Kind of my gig.
You dance. Except when you're tricking me.
But we need 2 t-shirts, right? Fight and beer. Opener and closer. Well, where's Jerry? Wait, I don't want to steal Jerry's name either. Where's Jerry? Where you at? Raise your hand.
I'm way back here.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
How you doing, Colder?
No, wide awake and happy to be here. Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you for giving Melissa and I the opportunity to speak to your body, Lord, and give us the opportunity to get some things off our chest and work through some things, Lord, and learn lessons. They're not always the easiest lessons learned. The important thing is that we take away your love, a little more knowledge, and a little better understanding of what we're supposed to be doing while we're doing it. Lord, I want to ask that you bless everyone here today. Keep them safe as they go into their travels. And everything we do for you, Lord. In your name we pray, amen.